How's it going, guys? DuoFace here. I'm making this video in preparation for Super Mario Maker 2's release. Today I'm going to be teaching you all a few tips that I know about Mario Maker that could help you make better levels in Mario Maker 2. There's just going to be some, like, you know, do's and don'ts, or little hints that can make your levels just look better in general. So, yeah, or like, say, have your level be more rewarding. So let's get right into it. So the first thing you should really be aware of with your creation is what the abilities of whatever Mario you theming this around has. Say, with Super Mario Bros. Mario, this is an impassable wall, which means that you have to go down this pipe. However, if we were to swap the game style over to New Super Mario Bros. U, where Mario has the most of his abilities, Mario is able to perform a triple jump, which, if I do this right, yeah, Mario will be able to perform a triple jump, which means that he can jump above this, and then start breaking your level by just, like, you know. You wouldn't want a player to just go out of bounds and die, so that's tip number 1 for you. If you want to use less ground when creating platforms like these, and you want to make it look more vibrant, simply go into the editor and use a semi-solid block. Using these, you can fill up spaces left behind, so that you're able to make it look just a little bit more, like, vibrant, while at the same time, like it looks better and it uses less resources, so you're able to use more ground later. One thing I will let you into, though, you shouldn't do this for walls anymore. In the original Mario Maker, say, if you had a border, if you had, like, a place where the screen's meant to stop because you're meant to go through a door or something, you would normally just have to, like, you'd have to fill up this blank space using, like, a semi-solid. Sort of like this. Like, just get a semi-solid and stretch it out to a stupidly big size. So now it actually looks good. However, with the new scroll lock feature, that's no longer going to work. So, keep that in mind. Tip number 4. When you're in the Super Mario Bros. 1 theme and you're using a mushroom, if it hasn't been removed, be careful of the small possibility that can happen with mushrooms, because occasionally there's a 1 in 100-ish chance that a super mushroom can spawn as this thing. This is called a Lanky Mushroom. What this thing does is it turns Mario into Weird Mario. Each mushroom has a 1 in 100 chance to do this, and you see the difference between the two is simple. I'll show you now. If I was to jump as far as I can here, I'm going to quickly mark the distance and height Mario was able to get, using an ice block here, and an ice block down here as to where he landed, pretty much. About here. Now let's compare this to the jump height and length of a Lanky Mushroom jump. So, as you can see, it's not too much longer, but of course it is a lot higher. So, if you're creating boundaries, try to make walls that aren't just this big to stop Mario, but like this big, in case the 1 in 100 chance of a Lanky Mushroom spawning happens. Tip number 5. If you like the foliage that randomly spawns, and want to use it more, if you copy the block, it will copy the foliage too. So you can have stuff like this. Copy this. You can just have, like, a bunch of bushes around. Or you could have, like, a bunch of small trees around and all that. So now this place looks a bit more vibrant with the life that we're giving it, as you can see. Now, there's another tip, which is a don't, which I'll show you next. So one thing I highly suggest that you do is to not create any plans for levels that involve the Mystery Mushroom. According to a post about Mario Maker 2, it will have no amiibo support, which will probably mean that the Mystery Mushroom itself will get removed. This is quite sad, because this was pretty much a staple of Mario Maker. But yeah, that means that there's going to be no more Golden Marios, so if you're planning to make, say, like, a Legend of Zelda thing, only plan it when there's been a confirm that the Mystery Mushroom's in, and we haven't seen it at all in any of the Mario Maker 2 trailers yet. Alongside this, don't plan anything with probably the saddest thing that no amiibos will remove, the Big Mushroom. This requires a 8-bit Mario amiibo that comes with certain Mario Maker packs. This turns Mario big, changes the screen all weird, and it changes certain graphics, but the most important part is probably the fact that he can break through blocks. So if you're thinking of making any levels where you're breaking through blocks as Big Mario, or say trying to survive your own weight, maybe wait until the Big Mushroom's actually been confirmed to make a return first. Next tip, number 7. If you make a structure that's a bit more complex than normal ones, such as this, and you want to, say, recreate it without too much hassle, all you need to do is hold down L and R to do the multi-grab mode, and then you can press ZL or ZR to copy it over. Now you have a perfect duplicate of whatever you were making, and you're able to use it wherever you want. I hope that these do make a return, because I don't know if they do, but just remember this, because it's a pretty good tip, because creating this just from these would get annoying. Tip number 8. There's a special little trick you can do. So, as you can see over here, there's this little structure that I've just made. It's quite small and it's quite simplistic, you know. If we go through this pipe, there appears to be an exact replica, but it's actually the end of the level. You can use track and vines to hide the flagpole's location alongside its blocks. There are other methods of hiding the flagpole too, which I'll include in this tip, in like the different themes. Say in Super Mario Bros. 3, you might go down this pipe and be all, oh look, there's the end, but it's being blocked off by some brick blocks. Looks like I'm gonna have to hit this P-switch to get the ending. But then when you go down the pipe, that's not the ending. It's a mushroom surrounded by tracks. The real ending is directly underneath it. So you can do a little trick like that to hide the Mario Bros. 3 flagpole. There's nothing you can really do with the new Super Mario Bros. U one from what I can tell, because it's too HD to really do a visual trick. Though with the Mario World one, there's a 9th trick that I'm going to show you now. So you may make it to the flagpole in Super Mario World. And look, there it is. Now let's go and oh wait. It's solid. Though this isn't the intended way to get over, but it seems to be asking us to get a P-switch. So how about we try that? I thought P-switches only worked on little brick blocks like that. Let's see if that makes a difference though. Well, it does. How does it do this? Well, to put it simply, while most stuff, like the flagpole, will get covered if you put ground there, the purple part of the Super Mario World ending cup bottle will actually hide anything that you put underneath it. Say, for example, you could hide some brick blocks under here, and nobody will even know they're there until they hit them in the face. Heck, if you're really nasty, and making a nice little troll level, you could even do the unbelievable thing of hiding spike blocks behind here. So after it's a long and grueling level, they can be like, oh, finally! Yeah, you can do stuff like that. So, let's move on to tip 10. So, tip number 10. If you want to force somebody to die, try this. If you didn't miss that, I was frozen in midair due to something stopping me. Now what this is, there's a special mechanic in place with the with the flagpole, where if you aim for the top, it stops you from overshooting so that you can get the 1-up more easily. But because of this mechanic, like kind of babying you a bit, it makes it so that it can make saw blades like these unavoidable, so to win the level you'd have to jump down and hit this piece of the flagpole, for example. So yeah, that's tip number 10. Let's see what else I can think of that can help you players out. If you're trying to make the player feel something, then you should probably decide where your ceiling should be. Say, for example, if you wanted Mario to feel open and free, move this up at least 1 or 2 blocks, and maybe move the semi-solid down a bit, so that when Mario jumps, he won't hit the ceiling, which makes the jumps feel a lot more fresh, compared to how it originally was, where Mario would hit his head on the ceiling if he tried to do a full jump. Oh, whoops. On the other hand, if you want him to feel compressed, maybe move these blocks a little bit closer, but then also move the ceiling down a lot more. This will give the player a lot more of a compressed feeling, like, wow, I'm really stuck in here, aren't I? And that's true. the player really is stuck, it's pretty, like, it's more of a confined thing. So, use this to kind of be aware of, like, where the player is set. Let's move on to tip 12 at this rate. I don't know if it's 12 or 11. I don't really care, I'll just call it 12. If you want to make the player feel like they've stumbled upon something that's a really cool little secret, instead of just putting it in a box like this, you should give it more decoration. Say, at the very least, get out a semi-solid and fill up the area with it, like this. Or if you want to give it a more cave-like feel, I'm going to quickly show you how that can be done. You could have it so that it slowly gets deeper, and then at about this point, it stops getting deeper. I'll just delete these faster. Oh, I just can't. I'll just delete them using the eraser. So say, you could put the 1-up on a pedestal like this, and you could maybe have some vines hanging from the ceiling, like this. Just a few. You could have some that are longer, some that are shorter. You could also hide some, like, semi-solids that dangle from the ceiling, and maybe come all the way down, just a little bit though. And now, as you can see, this area looks a lot more, like, vibrant by cave standards. Before it was just a box, and now if you discover the secret area, it looks a lot more like you've encountered a cave. Heck, something extra that you can even do is that tip I showed you earlier. Maybe add some foliage by copy and pasting these. And then you can copy and paste this across, so that now the foliage is everywhere. And it looks a lot more vibrant, as I told. Just add a bunch of mushrooms if you want. You can even have mushroom platforms dangling from the ceiling too. That can work. Sort of like this. But I don't think that really fits the underground theme, so I'm going to delete that. So, before we had a box, and now we have this. And as you can see, this looks way better. It feels a lot more like a secret than just an empty square box. And let's move on to tip 13. So, for secrets and levels, there are a couple of options you can take. Say, with the new Mario Maker, in the new Mario Maker 2 game that's coming out in about 3 days at this point, there's a new, like, big coin thing. Like, almost like a star coin. Where you can have the players go through some risky business to get more of a reward. Though you might have to design it a bit better than I just did. But I would say that there's still a better reward than just regular coins. So say, you might have a level where all of the secrets are just big coins. And that could be pretty good for the Endless Mario Challenge, because that's 1-ups pretty much. However, I have a better alternative to it that can give your level a lot more charm. Simply shake the coin, and now you have a key coin. These key coins, when they're all collected, can form a coin, of course. So you collect this one, and then you collect another, like this. This will get you a key, and then you can have a cool little special area at the end of your level, where the player gets rewarded for getting all of the key coins. And from here I'm going to do tip number 14 with bonus areas. Don't just fill an area up with coins. Like, that's boring. Get rid of that boring stuff. We gotta delete all of it. Oh yeah, and tip number 13.5. Putting an eraser near Mario will make him panic. So, don't just put coins in. Coins, they aren't worth your time, pretty much. So instead, put a couple 1-ups in. It seems that in the Endless Mario Challenge, the 3 1-up rule is still a thing, where you can collect 3. Or if you want to make it even more of a cool little area, what you could do is, you could get some bullet bill blasters, and fill them up with 1-ups. This might actually frighten the player off, which would be sort of funny. And be sure to have some more full with coins too. Because both 1-ups and coins, that's a lot more fun. So, would you prefer to just go into an area and get bombarded with coins? Or, would you prefer to go into an area and just have 1-ups and coins get shot at you by bullet bills? Like, that's just way better. I mean, I think anyway. Some of you might prefer to go to the corners to get the last coin. But yeah, it makes the amount of coins you can get limited to about 60, like 30 per bullet blaster. And the 1-ups, there's 3 per blaster, so that's pretty good. Let's move on to tip number 15. Or is it tip number 15? Oh, you found a cool little glitch, did you? Do you want to showcase it to the entire world? Do you want to upload it and show everybody about this cool glitch you found? Where you can walk through walls? Well, here's my hint to you. If you're planning on becoming a big maker, do not ever do this. You see, the Nintendo devs don't like it when you upload glitch levels. In fact, they are usually as ruthless as it gets towards accounts that do. I can remember that there was this one account called Hyrulean, and afterwards getting like 500,000 stars, they uploaded a glitch level because they saw other people doing it without getting punished, right? Because they kept falling under their Mario Maker radar. However, when Nintendo saw the singular glitch level on Hyrulean's account, they deleted every single star out of the 500,000 that he had earned. So all of that progress that he had made with hundreds of good levels, well, it was all gone to rubble and Hyrulean basically disappeared. I've also heard that smaller accounts just get straight up banned, so they can never actually upload a level to Course World ever again. So take that as your warning, guys. Never do this, ever, okay? Just either keep it private, or if you find an exploit that makes Nintendo devs not be able to find this, then feel free. Or if you're okay with risking your account, then again, feel free. So let's move on to tip number 16. So, say you have the flagpole, and you want to do a cool little trick at the end of the level. Oh look, Mario's gonna jump down, and watch. Ooh, he disappeared into thin air. That's because when he enters the castle, he goes into a different layer, and that layer is behind semi-solid platforms, so he'll go behind it. This only works in themes where they go into the castle, but say if you want to combine this with something cool, why not put some track here, and just have this be a massive semi-solid. Oh, and of course we gotta hide the actual flagpole, or else we could die, clearly. But just, yeah, if you want to make a cool thing, where instead of just walking into the castle normally, Mario disappears like magic. Oh look, he got the flagpole, and now he disappears, without a trace. This is a very tiny trick, but I might as well have brought it up. One thing that I would recommend to some players for number 17 is that you should experiment the best you can. Say, for example, here's a couple things that not many players know of that I've discovered just by playing Mario Maker. So, be sure to try and find your own discoveries too. For example, normally a Boo will just hide its face when Mario is looking and fly after you when you're looking away, killing you if it touches you. However, if you put a Blue near the floor, they turn into a different enemy entirely. They will go left and right, and then they'll come back out of the ground, and they'll kill you. Looking at them won't change a thing. Another thing that I learned through experimenting is that if you get Bowser Jr. and put him over a cliff, but you make him, I don't know if the giant thing's a necessity, but if you give him wings, once Bowser Jr. falls off a cliff, he won't actually die. He's one of the only enemies that does this. He'll go off the cliff, and then he'll come back as a special boss. He'll attempt to ground pound you, and then when you defeat him, he can fall off the cliff if he follows you. So if this baby Bowser does drop down the pit, he'll come back, hover above you, and then ground pound. This will make him a bit more intense to deal with. He can also jump while inside of his shell. So this is a completely different form of Bowser Jr. that would have otherwise just gone undiscovered. And as you can see, yeah, he can jump in his shell. This makes it a lot harder, and a lot more interesting, because a lot less people know of it. So let's move on to tip number 18. So one thing you should be aware of with some things, such as the giant Boo Buddies, there is a small time period where once they're out, they won't actually kill you until a few frames later. So if I knock this one over... Oh, whoops. Well, that failed miserably. let's put a ceiling on this thing. So if I knock this Muncher over, as you can see, that Boo took a few extra frames to actually kill me. Let's do it again, just to prove my point. So yeah, maybe experiment a bit with that. Invincibility frames or spawning frames, you know. They can be pretty important. Now let's move on to tip number 19 if I have the time for it. So one thing I'd say, never gift a Koopa clown car in tracks if it's near blocks, because if any part of it is clipping through a block, it will become completely impossible to enter. Just a bit of game design there. Do not have your clown cars be in the ground. So here's a special trick. Say, oh look, there's a pipe there. I wonder what's inside. I'm gonna go and hit this P-switch. Well, once you go back through the door, it's Bowser time. How does this happen? Well, blocks, if you put an enemy inside of a block without actually being inside the block, they will despawn. However, if they get broken across time, the next time a screen transition happens, the Bowsers will be free to jump about. You can also do this by going off screen with a P-switch and then coming back. Because, again, that's like, the Bowsers are off screen. So you can jump on this, run back over, oh look, they're out! They're having killing, of course. So let's move on to tip 20. I can't believe we've actually fit 20 into this. So one thing to be aware of is that swords aren't just a decoration, Spike. They aren't just there to be like, oh, look at this, it's a big version of this. Oh boy. Well, there's something special about it. Its lack of collision makes it incredibly useful for, like, passages that only enemies can go through. Say, for example, if you wanted a place for a Goomba to go, where Mario can't, Goombas can oh, Goomba, walk that way. Goomba, walk this way, please. Okay, the Goomba's not following instructions. We're going to have to kill him. Okay, say, for example, you want a red Koopa to go that way. The red Koopa will be able to go that way because the saw has no collision. They'll go right through it. As for Mario, no, he can't. If you want to be less punishing, however, and guarantee that he can't damage boost through by damaging himself, simply turn it into a bumper. Bumpers are similar to saws that they have no collision so enemies can go through them, but instead of getting damaged, you'll just get bounced until the Koopa comes back. There's also a second trick with spikes that I'll put here too. If you shake a spike, Spike has another trick with its layers. Say, hey look, we can hide a cloud behind here. So, while platforming, you can have a cloud. And it's a little trick, because it's like, oh, I'm gonna die. Oh no. However, there's something else you can do with these layers that I'll show you right now. So for my very last tip, I think it's tip 21. Using layers, you can hide stuff behind saws, like this. That's a coin block. And alongside that, you can also do a nasty trick with saws. I'll count this as tip 20, by the way. You can do a nasty trick with saws, where you can do something like this. That wasn't a cloud block, that was a note block. But cloud blocks and note blocks that are both hidden by saws are hard to discern. You can also do something like this, where you stick a giant, like, unchained chomp inside of a block, hide it. So say, oh, this Koopa sucks, I'm gonna go kick him away. Nope, now it's karma time, I guess. Oh, and a last thing I'll mention, if you start above a pit using your testing mode, you'll get a platform that will disappear once you get off of it. So anyways, this has been my tips and tricks for Mario Maker that can help out players in the future when Mario Maker 2 comes out very soon. So I hope you all enjoyed. If you guys want a part 2, because I could probably give a few more tips, leave a like and subscribe. And also leave a like and subscribe if you want to see some Mario Maker 2 content, because it's probably going to take over Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as the main thing on my channel. Anyways, as I said, this has been Duoface, and I'll see you all next time.